So what I'm going to do in the next 6 lessons or so is start looking at the Scala for expression. And the reason for doing that, as a reminder here, is that I want to get to a point where you can easily understand code that looks like this. And to make this easier to understand or understandable at all, depending on your background, we're going to see how the for expression works. And to do that, we're going to create our own custom class that will work inside of a for expression. And in this paragraph right here, I start to describe how for expressions work and specifically what they call the translation rules for how the Scala compiler converts the for expressions that you write into a series of method calls that can include map, flat map, for each, and with filter, depending on what you're doing inside of the for expression. In this section here, I start to talk about these rules. So rule number one is that if a custom data type defines a for each method, as shown right there, it will allow for loops inside of for expressions. And so then I show here what I mean by that. And unfortunately, that's on multiple lines, but it says for I and ints, print line I. And of course, this is the Scala 2 style, but that's what I mean by that. If you create a custom type that has a for each method, as I show right here, then you can use that in a simple for loop. And fear not, I'm going to explain this more in the lessons that follow this one. And next, if a custom data type defines a map method, then it can be used in for expressions consisting of a single generator. So that's this map method right here. If it defines flat map as well as map, then it allows for expressions that consist of multiple generators. And finally, if it defines a with filter method, it will allow filtering expressions starting with the if clause inside of a for expression. So again, I don't show those things yet, but we're going to see what they mean in the next video. Back in the first version of this book, I defined this as an abstract class. And what you see now is we can actually do this with a trait in Scala 3. But the idea is that we're going to create some type of custom class. It's going to have a generic type parameter A, and then we're going to define these different methods as we go along. And you'll see that some of these require that we also define a second generic type parameter that I call B. So again, we're going to do this in the following lesson. So let's just go ahead and jump right to the following video, and you'll start to see what I mean.